The June LSAT is on track to be the most popular June LSAT test date ever. In fact, so many people signed up to take the June LSAT this year that they added an additional test date beyond what was initially planned. It's on track to have more than double the number of test takers this year over last year. This year, there are approximately 36,000 people registered for the June LSAT alone, whereas it was 18,000 last year. Historically, and I'm pulling this data from LSAC's website, the previous June LSAT peak was around the 2008 financial crisis, which is not surprising because during economic recessions, more people go to law school. We see a big spike in law school applications. We saw this back in 2008. We saw it again, of course, at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. Other big spikes tend to happen in presidential election years, the so-called Trump bump back in 2016. Maybe we'll see it again this year in 2024, but the June LSAT spike this year probably isn't because some insane number of test takers are applying to law school this fall. So you might be wondering, well, Steve, what is the reason? And if this is sounding like a logical reasoning resolve the paradox question, you're right. It does sound like one. And of course, there's no such thing as a true paradox in the world of logic. There is always an alternate explanation of some kind. This year, the June LSAT is of course unique because it's the last LSAT ever with the logic games section. The biggest change to the LSAT in over 30 years is happening this year in 2024 after the June LSAT, when they remove the logic games section and replace it with a second scored logical reasoning section. And so based on my conversations with countless test takers, it seems that everyone who's been postponing and delaying the LSAT for months, maybe even years, is pushing to get done with the LSAT in June this year, get it done as soon as possible before the change. And in fact, I've been making videos for over a year now, encouraging longtime LSAT students to take the LSAT with logic games before LSAC removes the section, because of course, you don't want your work invested in logic games to be for nothing, and logic games is the most perfectible section on the test. However, if you're feeling like you won't be ready in time, you don't need to join the masses taking the LSAT in June because, of course, there's not a ton of time remaining, just a couple weeks now at this point. And instead, of course, you could go for the August LSAT instead with the new format and apply right at the beginning of the cycle in the fall. Now, if you are on track to take the LSAT in August or September or beyond, you're looking for help with that new LSAT format, looking to master logical reasoning, since of course it will be 2/3 of the test, you can check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, I mentioned earlier in this video that the situation with the June LSAT reads like a resolve the paradox question, but of course there are roughly 15 different types of logical reasoning questions, and some of them are more important for you to master before you even think about touching resolve the paradox questions. I recommend focusing on necessary assumption, inference, and flaw because these are the most common types of questions in logical reasoning. Only once you've mastered these three types, then and only then should you deal with the less common and more abstract question types like parallel reasoning, method of reasoning, and of course, resolve the paradox. But I don't want you neglecting anything in logical reasoning because of course it's going to be 2/3 of the test starting in August, meaning that you'll want to spend at least 2/3 of your study time on logical reasoning since it'll be 2/3 of the test, and any gains you make in your understanding of logical reasoning will be doubled across the two sections. So of course, plan your LSAT study time accordingly, and if you are already signed up for June and you feel pretty good about logic games, you might want to take both the June LSAT and the August LSAT, both different formats, and see which one you do better on, since of course law schools will not care which one you take. They just want to see that highest LSAT score among all your LSAT takes. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.